Welcome everybody to the Telehealth Startup Award at the September Telehealth Rapid Conference event, which is hosted by the Telehealth Networking Club. My name is Sandra Miller. I'm CEO of Runway Innovation Hub, and I'll be your moderator both for the Telehealth Startup Award and later for the private networking session that follows. Just a quick headline about Runway. We are a San Francisco-based hub that provides workspace, corporate innovation, event, and education services to a global community of tech startups and enterprises. And it's really my pleasure to be here with you today. I love hearing from startups, and I think every time I learn something new, which is it's so exciting to see that. And of course, every time a startup pitches, it sort of takes about 30 times generally until your pitch is sort of gets in that groove. So these opportunities, and with the great feedback you're going to be getting today, we're all going to learn and get better. So that's why we're here. And let's see, do we have, I'll go ahead and introduce or have our judges introduce themselves. We have Dr. Oren Aloni Charas, who is CEO of the Global Health Impact Fund. Is Ben Bergsma here?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, great. Ben, welcome. So Ben Bergsma is with Munich RE Ventures. And we also have Bene, who is founder and CEO of Bene Studio. I'm going to now ask each of the judges to just give a very brief introduction about yourself and your firm so that the startups pitching to you have a little bit of context. Ben, can you start us off?
Sure. Thank you, and thank you for having me this morning, or at least over in San Francisco in the morning. But yeah, I am an investor at Munich RE Ventures. I've been in venture capital for a little over 5 years. I have done over 20 investments, and we are a $670 million fund. We are looking to make strategic investments into companies that fit somewhere into the insurance ecosystem mostly, but take a fairly broad view of that. So we lead deals, we take board seats, we follow deals. So yeah, I'm based in San Francisco, but we invest globally. So thanks again.
Terrific. Thanks, Ben. And Oren, can you give us a little bit of background about you and your firm?
Hey, good morning, Sandy. Good to see you. Thanks for having me. My name's Oren Aloni Charas. I am the managing partner and CEO of the Global Health Impact Fund. I'm also a doctor. I've been in practice for 25 years as an anesthesiologist. And my fund is a smaller fund. It's we're closing on $10 million for our first fund right now. And we invest primarily in digital and device in the medical space, so all early stage healthcare investing.
Terrific. And Balint, tell us a little bit about you and Bene Studio.
Hello, everybody. My name is Balint Bene. I'm the CEO of Bene Studio, and Bene Studio is a digital product consultancy. We have a focus on HealthTech, and we help both enterprises and startups with high-quality mobile and web applications and complex integrations. So this is how me and our team contributes to the health community, and I'm really happy being here, and I hope that that I also can help with my and Bene Studio's experiences during this session.
Thank you, Balint. So we are going to have 4 startups present today. And as each startup comes up, we'll start first with Cleexa, and then Nephrodite, and then Exam Med, followed by LifeCuff Technologies. Let me give you a sense for how these sessions will run. Each startup will have 4 minutes to pitch. I'm going to do the iPhone sort of timer. So when I'll let that run, and we'll stop you for time. I'll probably give you a chance to sort of finish a point, but we do want to keep on time. After your pitch, we're going to give about the same amount of time, about 4 minutes, up to 4 minutes, for our judges to ask questions and also give any feedback. Importantly, on the feedback, let's not get into any rebuttal of the feedback. Just sort of take the feedback, and you can follow up offline to dive into that more if needed. And after that, I'm going to ask each judge to give that pitch a score from 1 to 5, and with 5 being the highest score. And of course, at the end of our session, the startup with the highest score will be the September winner of the pitches. So that's how that's going to work. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring up Mehmet Kazgan, who is CEO and founder of Cleexa, and the company is based in Boulder, Colorado. So Mehmet, you want to get up there, we see your screen, and get into presentation mode and come off mute. All right, Mehmet, whenever you're ready. I can't hear you yet, just so you know.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for giving me the opportunity for being here. This is Mehmet Kazgan from Cleexa. We're actually based in Denver, Colorado. I am an ex-vice president of technology from Aetna. I started the company in 2016. We have 6 doctors on our cap table who actually have been helping me with the clinical background, and we have healthcare administrators and executives also part of the company. So the idea of getting Cleexa on board has been because the whole administrative and operational inefficiencies in the system, and everything should be focused on the clinical, basically, background. So onboarding a patient, qualifying them for reimbursements, providing the service, and billing has been an issue. I know this personally because I also own and chair a pain treatment clinic with 79 employees with ancillary services, surgery center, urine analysis, mental health, physical therapy. On a really integrated model, you can see how patients are actually going through a lot of administrative work, and then at the end of the day, we're losing a lot of time, and then denials and rejections. So with that, I built a platform personally myself. I'm a developer by trade, worked in Google, Microsoft, PayPal, and Visa until I switched to Aetna years ago. And I have seen the challenge of onboarding a patient, collecting data from different data buckets, and providing them really integrated into the EMR system. So when you think about Cleexa, it's an end-to-end, including telehealth, a solution that can onboard the patient and also monitor the patient. Everything happens actually in the EMRs that the doctors and providers are using. So the data is basically collected from different data sources with APIs, including provider-provider APIs, medical device connections, and we trigger certain clinical assessment and push it to the EMR to paint the patient's picture. With that said, the doctor, before the telehealth session or the visit, personal visit actually started, they can see a snapshot of the patient in any type of subspecialty immediately. So you're seeing a screen on this one that is completed for a new patient within likely 4 minutes, and it actually triggers national guidelines and gives the picture of the patient immediately. We also apply policies so that if you're ordering urine analysis and procedures with some certain requirements, we also build that into the algorithm with our system. And our market is huge, especially we're selling as a SaaS model to the providers, which is about $4+ billion. And our business model is end-to-end solution in automated intake and also remote patient monitoring fully integrated. And we can basically enable features depending on the model we're providing. With 2019, after going live in 2018 first time, we grew about 8x. We collect about 10,000 plus data points. We are partners with Epic, Cerner, Athena Marketplace, also Microsoft Healthcare, and we actually increased our existing providers' revenues for about 10%. You can see the subspecialties we have, and we actually are commercial in 5 platforms, and cardiology one has been built by American College of Cardiology partnership. Also, they are our investors. So our first application is now live in the stores, and we're implementing with a big contract with Ascension Health. So you can see our growth model from 2018, and we're target with $670,000 this year. Even with COVID, we also implemented COVID infrastructure. And with that, we are one of the 10 companies implemented Medicare claims integration. We presented at White House last year in person, and we have been also supported by a lot of congressmen with the healthcare innovation with our platform. Our competitors are pretty much doing this in different buckets. Not only we are providing this as an end-to-end solution, fully tailored and customizable, we also provide AIs for pointing out risk factors and then enabling patients for certain reimbursements. We have a full patented.
Your time, Mehmet, so maybe just wrap up if you want to go to your funding ask.
Yes, we're asking about $3 million on a $9 million valuation on Series A to increase our basically network of clients, and then we will hire some chief revenue officers and sales officers, and then also supporting the implementation with our next clients. We have raised already $1.8 million, and we actually soft circled another 100,000 from our angel investors. With that said, I will just say thank you for giving us the opportunity. I'm sorry I couldn't use the time well. Thanks a lot.
That's okay. It's challenging to do 4 minutes, but it's a good challenge to have. Judges, any questions for Mehmet? Go ahead, Oren.
Hey, Mehmet, great presentation. Very, very interesting. I was curious if you could talk about EMR integrations with the institutional EMRs.
Absolutely. So we actually started first with Epic Orchard. We are already in their marketplace. So we have a homegrown, our own integration services engine that we already have pipelines, bi-directional integrations with Epic, Athena Health, Greenway Health, Cerner, and like pretty much Centricity. We're building one with NetSmart. So we have full HR7 and Fire integration. I'm a backend developer myself. So we also are in the marketplaces as well.
Great.
Balint.
Great presentation, thanks. And I have one question. How does your technical development roadmap look like?
So great question. So right now we have 8 platforms in 8 subspecialties total. And we are going to develop the oncology, which is coming up live. Our first roadmap is to going after like cardiovascular with American College of Cardiology, because we have a distribution agreement we signed together. So we have AFib. Currently, we will go for CHF and post-MI and hypertension, which is released next month. And then with that, we're going to expand our pain infrastructure with integrated model as well. So oncology is our 3rd big product coming up 2 months from now. We signed a deal with a big oncology clinic in Europe. So we're going live in their clinics also in oncology. That's kind of like the roadmap we are at. And of course, product improvement is part of our big technology roadmap all the time.
Terrific. Ben, any questions or feedback?
Oh, are those separate sessions? Is it questions and then feedback, or is it all in the same thing?
All in the same.
Oh, okay. Got it. No, I enjoyed that presentation. I think, just one point of feedback is I feel like with the amount of volume of data that you had, I feel like we could have spent an hour on that presentation. And so I think that there's, you know, when you were clicking through the slides, it's like I wanted to ask all of these questions, right? But in this limited time format, I think sometimes you have to really decide like what the guts of the presentation is, and sort of just focus on that, and maybe cut out a couple of slides. So that's just one point of feedback from my end. But good job.
Thanks, Ben. Great. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we shift to the scoring, judges? Okay, great. So I'm going to ask each of the judges to maybe just raise, your fingers or whatever. And Balint, what's your score for the Cleexa presentation?
Thanks. I really liked the presentation, and I'm impressed with the viable business model. So I really liked it.
All right. And Oren, your score?
I'm going to go for a full 5. I love it.
Okay, great.
It's great. It's very important. It's a very important space.
Terrific. Thanks. Ben?
Yeah, I like the business. I just think the presentation maybe was just, a little like drinking from a fire hose a bit too much. So I'm going to go with a 3.
Okay. So we have a 4, a 5, and a 3. And the Savannah and the team, great job, Mehmet. Thanks very much. So we will continue with our next presentation. And before, as we're bringing that up, I do want to mention that the winning startup for today will actually receive a planning session with the Bene Studio group to really enhance the development of your product. And then also a coaching session with me at Runway, and I'll follow up. We can tailor that to what your needs are, and so that we can really be productive with that. So just so you know that's going on. And then Bene Studio is also offering for all the startups presenting today a free product discovery session. So, everybody's walking away with something, like we said. So Nikhil Shah is our next presenter. Nikhil is CEO and co-founder of Nephrodite, and who are based in Atlanta, Georgia. Nikhil.
Thank you, Sandra. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful.
And we see your slides. You look ready to go. I love it.
Thank you. Nephrodite is happy and thankful to be here. We are dedicated to changing the game in renal replacement therapy, predominantly with a vision of improving the quality of life and health outcomes for patients with end-stage renal disease. End-stage renal disease is a tremendous burden to the U.S. healthcare system. Patients whose kidneys have failed, their only option other than getting a kidney transplant is to undergo dialysis or unfortunately surpass and fail from their demise. Over 800,000 patients in the US alone and roughly 3 million patients globally are being treated for this. And this accounts for a $34 billion cost to Medicare, which accounts for about 7% of the Medicare budget to treat less than 1% of the covered population. The standard of care with intermittent dialysis, it leads to a tremendously poor quality of life in patients with end-stage renal disease. It's a burden on not only the patient, but their loved ones, but it also results in a very, very high complication rates, such as cardiovascular events and death. Our solution is an implantable dialysis device. It's a small fist-sized device which connects to the artery in the pelvis. It does not involve the abdominal cavity or the chest. This allows for continuous flow of blood through the implanted device, and allows then also communication with dialysate that sits outside the body in a reservoir to also communicate with the device to allow for removal of the toxins. This reservoir would be handled by an external vest that the patients would wear that would also power the device for patients to allow for the mechanical pump to operate effectively. We believe that this membrane and or the device would need to be exchanged every 2 years. As we can see in this brief video, The device here, through our efforts with German Aerospace in Munich and our original designs, has a membrane with the device, and you can see the bellowing of the membranes as the bench work here to clear the toxins has been performed. We believe we have a compelling market opportunity. The average patient for dialysis costs Medicare about $93,000 per year. We believe conservatively that our device would save the US healthcare system about 30%. If we look at just a 5% penetration of the hemodialysis market, we would see roughly around $800 million in revenue, which we think would be very significant. Our revenues would be generated not only by sales of the device, but the external reservoir, the wearable vest, and such. Our device started in Munich at the German Aerospace Labs with a generous non-dilutive grant from the Bavarian Ministry of Science and Technology. We moved the device to Boston, where we completed the prototype of the device with the hardware, the housing, and the membrane. We currently are seeking a seed round of $650,000 to continue validation testing, add blood to the benchtop testing, and then perform ex vivo animal testing. We believe that without a foundational strong team, we wouldn't be anywhere, and the three co-founders all have experience in startup, in running startups in the medical device space. Michael Liang on our board has extensive experience and is part of Baird Capital. And we have other experience with Rohit Karnik from MIT, who's a professor of nanofluidics and membrane physiology, as well as in the regulatory and IP side. Thank you very much.
And then do you have, and your fundraising ask?
Our fundraising ask is $650,000 for a seed round.
All right. And is that going to be on a note, or how are you?
We are absolutely open to either a note, a bridge, a safe, as well as equity. So we are open to the options of financing.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure we got that important thing in. All right. So judges, Ben, let's start with you first with we'll go for questions first, and then we'll circle back around for feedback.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great job, Nikhil. Maybe I missed this in the presentation. Is from a distribution standpoint, how are you getting these devices into the hands of the end consumer?
The end consumer will definitely be the patient. However, this is probably more of a B2B model where we would be selling the devices most likely through a partnership with a strategic, and we'd be selling them to the hospitals through our interactions with clinicians such as nephrologists and vascular access surgeons.
Terrific. Malin, any questions?
Yes, so thanks for the presentation. I really enjoyed it. It was on time, and the goal was understandable. And I really like the strong background from the scientific aspect. And what I'm really curious about is your vision how to deal with telehealth and digital or software aspects of this whole business.
Absolutely. I think I can answer it this way by saying, we could get too burdened by our scientists adding biosensors that would communicate with a pad or a phone in terms of the actual physiology and the content, the biochemical content of the blood and the dialysate. But certainly in Gen 2, we would be implementing biosensors into the app, where that would allow for digital and software enabling components of the device. And that could allow for a sort of a live real-time adjustment of the patient's hemodynamics and fluid composition and blood composition.
Thanks. And are you planning any cloud-based or network-like service which helps with the remote care or with anything outside of the patient's place?
We certainly are. We just have to be careful of not getting too far ahead of ourselves. We're currently, trying to finish and get to not commercial, but a clinical grade prototype with which then to enter the regulatory process. There's no question, though, that this meets perfectly with cloud-based software applications where patients could be easily managed at home and while being mobile instead of coming into dialysis centers. And this would be a huge change from the current model where patients have to be transported to dialysis centers and their clinics every day, every week, otherwise suffering complications. So 100% cloud-based to keep patients at home and with their families.
And Oren?
Thank you, Nikhil. Great presentation. This is obviously a very, very important space, and I'm glad to see you're doing the work there. I have a question. What would you say are the biggest technical challenges you have in the next 12 to 24 months?
Great. Thank you, Oren, for that question. No question, this is a big project. And the single greatest issue that we believe is going to probably affect us or that we'll encounter is fouling of the membrane. So while we feel that will be an issue, we don't think it's a go, no go, or one that would stop us. We have Bene Freeman from UT Austin, as well as Rohit Karnik from MIT, both experts in the membrane field. And we're fairly confident that either continuing to work on our existing membrane or even creating additional aspects of our membrane de novo will be completely pliable and doable. And that's been borne out in our initial benchtop studies, which we did in triplicate over 96 hours.
Terrific. Okay, so judges, can we have one or two pieces of feedback for Nikhil, just so that he can continue to get better with his presentation? Does anybody have anything that they'd like to share? Balin.
Yeah, I believe that your component, which you already have, is a really strong start. And as a next steps, the business side, the sales side, and also the digital product side, how to make it as a commercial service. I think it could be the next step, I believe that it's a really good start.
Great. Oren?
There we go. Well, I really did like you're restricted so much by a 4-minute time limit, but I think that, you proved your marketplace very well and showed us a nice long-term roadmap. But it seems that given how early you are, the risks are very, very great in terms of as an investor, and getting a better sense as an investor of how you've de-risked it in an early sense and what the challenges are upcoming would be, I think, very helpful.
Great. Ben?
Yeah, I think just to piggyback a little bit off of Balin's point, or question earlier, hardware is hard, right, in general, and I think that as an investor, you're looking for that scale, and venture capital or even angel capital is really kind of jet fuel, and it's really to how are you really going to take off, and so sort of tying that back, or even just having a talking point of, this is where it's going right now, right? You don't want to get ahead of yourself for sure, but when are you going to hit that scale? And I think once you have more of that digital side or cloud-based solution, that's where we're really going to see it. So maybe just mentioning that in the presentation, but good job.
Terrific. So judges, all at once, I want you to just put your hands up, put it with your score for the presentation. So 1, 2, 3, go. So we've got 2 3s and Balint. Is that a 3 or a 2? Balint, that's a 3, right? Okay, there we go. All right, so we have got a score of 9. Great job, Nikhil. Thank you very much. All right, so next up we have Faraz Zubari. So Faraz, why don't you share your screen, get your presentation up?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect.
And Faraz is CEO and founder of ExamMed, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia, I believe. Another Atlanta. We have 2 from Atlanta today. the Atlanta area. All right, I see your screen.
Awesome. Can you see it okay? You should be looking at something that says dashboard if I'm doing.
Yes, that's what we got.
Perfect. Well, you tell me when my timer starts for America's Got Talent.
All right, one, ready to go. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for having me this morning, afternoon, wherever you might be. My name is Faraz Zubairi. I'm the CEO and founder of ExamMed. We are an award-winning, nationally recognized virtual care application that we started about 5 years ago. And we started it because I really wanted to change the delivery of healthcare. As a patient, as a caregiver, as a parent, too many times healthcare is becoming a transaction, and we wanted to really turn that back to a relationship. As of March 14th of this year, telehealth was one of those nice to have type of applications. Then we had some traction and some progress and certainly won some innovation awards and other things. And on March 15th, as COVID really started to take place, the world really understood that access to care was going to become paramount and telehealth became an overnight must-have. We saw that just as well as anybody. On March 14th, we had about 200 users on our application. Between March 15th and the end of the month, we onboarded 5,000 new users across hundreds of clinics and hospitals between here in Georgia and nationally. Rather than show you a set of screens and sort of, fancy slides, I wanted to actually show you the application. So ExamMed is set up to be a very simple, easy to use application that fundamentally connects patients to their own providers. We don't employ physicians. We're not a teledoc type of a model or a consumer model. We are here to augment an existing physician and their group to see their patients remotely. Our practices on average in a pre-COVID environment have increased revenue by 20 to 40%. So there's a very strong ROI. And as virtual care continues to grow, we're excited to see where that's only going to increase. So I wanted to take 30 seconds and show you how easy it is as a provider to initiate an appointment and see your patient and kind of go through that journey. So if I'm log in as a provider, I can go to appointments. Appointments could be made. So if I was seeing someone in clinic, those follow-ups and many things from a steered standpoint could be done remotely. And initiating a visit is even easier. One page, 3 clicks. A duration of an appointment, a name of a patient, and you hit start. And hopefully if Zoom video still allows me to, you'll see me on the top right-hand corner as a provider. The patient would receive an email and or a text message letting them know that a provider has invited them to a session. We learned a lot, over 250,000 unique encounters in the last 5 months, and so we wanted to make things even easier. So you click on a little text box that says join now, and you're immediately live and launched inside an exam room. And so there's Sorry that you need to see me 3 times. You can invite caregivers, providers, translators, so many different ways that you can navigate and provide care and involve different people into a session, including group therapy and group sessions, share screens to review labs, x-rays, things of that nature, pass attachments for documentation and consents. You can chart directly into your EMR. You can create templates within our application as well. We can also integrate into EMRs. And as you navigate and finish appointments, really, we wanted to look at virtual care in 3 aspects. The video visit 1, which is extremely straightforward. Care navigation as well. So in 1 click, you can identify a patient, refer them to a specialist, and then also on the remote patient monitoring side, that as you're looking at an individual, why are they wanting to be seen and for what rhyme or reason? So if it's a cardiovascular issue, whatever it might be, we can also integrate to multiple wearables and peripherals from cardia devices, smart weight scales, glucose monitors, things of that sort. So where we are today, we've closed just about $1 million of new business and ARR from March until present time. We've just won some mandates from companies like Centene and others at the national level. So we've got a really good hunting license in 20, 21 different states for managed Medicaid plans. We've been talking to some Blues plans as well through their innovation team.
You need to wrap it up.
And others. And our ask is very simple. We're looking to accelerate the company and are seeking $3 million as equity to grow.
Great. Great job. Okay, judges. Let's see. Oren, I'll start with you this time. Oh, sorry. I'll get you next. I'll get you next, Valiant.
Okay, so for us, great presentation. The platform looks really easy to use. I think that's important, and it's a very important space. Obviously, getting very, very exciting right now. What do you think are the next? Like, how do you know when this gets to play with the big dogs? Like, what is it that you need to do to accomplish that?
To find big dogs.
Well, like the big, telehealth players. Like, where, like, what things do you need to accomplish in order to really blow up?
Actually interesting, right? I think the market has seen that in the spring, people had to use some kind of a solution as a stopgap. Hospital systems and others are now looking at what is a more integrated, longer-term virtual care solution. We have actually displaced American Well, which has raised 500 million totality. Just got another 100 million from Google into very large opportunities. One with one of those national mandates. And if we just look at ourselves versus, something like American Well, if you look at April utilization, they did about 1.6 visits per provider per day. We did 2.1. We've raised 3 million to date. They've raised 500 million to date. So for us, it's all about acceleration of marketing and customer success and sales, where we can continue to win those opportunities, but where we are being positioned in RFPs, RFIs quite nicely, we're starting to see some strong traction.
Terrific.
Balance.
Yeah, let me join to Orin. My question is, could you highlight your competitive advantages compared to the big players? Because it's a really funded and crowded space.
Sure. I think the uniqueness comes down to a couple of things, right? Products and then as well as services. And I can follow up with we've actually created a one-pager that differentiates us between sort of other applications. But I think the main differentiator from a product standpoint itself is one is the simplicity from what our customers tell us. We're not just a video visit platform. There is a referral management component. There is a monitoring component, a scheduling component. So other things that you can integrate and bring in into a centralized platform certainly helps where we've seen success through our customers.
Terrific.
Thanks.
Yeah, is the video, or let me ask this question. What are the new business that you've gotten, the one increase 1 million in ARR, is it for the referral sort of features of the platform or the video, or is it hard to identify? Like what are users mostly utilizing?
So there's no particular, we like it for just this or that. We sell into 3 different verticals. One is starting with the most basic independent medical groups across sort of a broad spectrum of specialties. We also sell into hospitals and health systems, and then a centralized platform. Certainly we've got contracts with hospitals, health systems, independent medical groups. We didn't have the resources to go after payers. We're starting to do that now, and we're winning, as we sort of did with Centene. Where functionality, to kind of tie into the second part of your question, really people see is the one thing ExamMed does really well is that it allows the patient to be the hub, and then various providers and caregivers and others to sort of be that spoke across a central set of information. So we are seeing something from, I came in person to the clinic, my follow-up appointment was done in a virtual environment, but then I needed an access to a specialist or a referral, and I could use something like our care navigation component, that referral piece that you saw, to refer to a specialist, but everyone's got a single source of truth of that patient record and sort of that information, if you will.
And I guess just one follow-up, was the conferencing app or platform like built in-house, or how was that? I'm asking because I feel like it's sort of customer expectations are to have like basically a Zoom experience. And so I'm curious how it holds up against these kind of like more, other types of,
We've seen from a scale and how it holds up, look, the last 6 months taught us a lot about utilization. We've seen about 5.5 million minutes of use on our application across 250,000 unique encounters with 5,000 plus users. So the system can scale. From a software standpoint, it's a proprietary application. The video, we did have our own video component sort of within version 1. There's better technology out there to scale. So we've used for the video piece itself some integrations just on the video, but everything else that you see is proprietary software.
Okay, great. let's see, does anybody have any burning feedback they want to provide? Okay, because we are, go ahead, Balint.
Okay, just a short one. I really like your traction and that you have more and more real paying customers. I think it's a strong point. And a formal feedback is for this kind of presentations, maybe it's a better choice to talk a bit about all the aspects like the team, the roadmap, the goals, the competitive edge and so on. So it would be my feedback. However, I like your video, your application, but I think it's more useful to show in short all the aspects, all the business aspects.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, from my standpoint, and it's all, you know, you never know who you're talking to, right? So from my standpoint, I actually sort of enjoyed this approach. You know, I definitely have more questions around some of the things that Balint just mentioned, you know, around the team and roadmap. But you know, I actually, you know, did like this, and it's very relevant. Right now is probably the time to raise for you guys, given what's going on. So anyway, just wanted to sort of offer the flip side of that coin, but yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys. All right. So let's go ahead and get ready to give your scores. So again, judges, if you can all at once put up your scoring fingers. Go ahead. So we got a 4. We got 2 4s and a 3. All right. So thank you. So testing my math today. All right. So last but certainly not least, we have Tom Moore. Tom, it's thank you so much. Somebody has to go in the 4th slot. So Tom is Chairman and CEO of LifeCuff Technologies, and he's been waiting patiently to tell us about his company, which is based in Philadelphia. So we've hit 3 states today. I love that from our presenters. That's terrific. So Tom, we do see your slides, so I don't hear your voice yet. If you want to go off mute. Hello, hello.
I'm off mute.
All right, here we go. Now I can hear you, and I
Great.
don't see your slides yet. There we go. Got them.
Great.
All right, you ready to go?
I am.
All right, let's start.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tom Moore, the CEO of LifeCuff Technologies. I've sold billions of dollars of pharmaceuticals in my career, but I now focus on achieving healing without their side effects. LifeCuff Technologies has developed a system and patented it that dramatically reduces the suffering and the $20 billion annual cost of diabetic wounds. It triggers a full body response to a pattern of circulation interruption in the arm that enables oxygen-starved cells to recover and heal. The single button design works at home and communicates vital data directly to the supervising physician. Our management team has over 50 years experience in medical devices, telehealth technology, sales, and reimbursement. I built a marketing and sales company for devices and drugs from 30 million in revenue to 130 million in 5 years, and then sold it for $246 million. Our chief technology officer has developed 2 leading circulation assist devices, which led to the acquisition of his company. Our operations manager has managed quality and secured prompt reimbursement for 2 medical devices, including an in-home cardiac monitor. So, of the 30 million American diabetics, 35% will sooner or later develop chronic foot ulcers. These can go down to the bone, and that adds up to 1.5 million sufferers per year. Current standard care heals only 30% of these wounds, leading to a horrifying 150,000 amputations a year. Insurance companies reimburse advanced therapies for these wounds at prices up to $24,000. Our device will cost $3,000 and has delivered better healing rates than any competitor. Our technology strengthens the underlying oxygen-starved tissue that is the reason these wounds go chronic. Better bandages, artificial skin, and other therapies don't touch this critical area. Our 74% healing rate beats standard care by a huge margin and is 30% better than the average of advanced therapies, but at 1/5 the cost. For an investor standpoint, we have mostly de-risked this proposition. The device and its software has been designed, manufactured, and it has delivered over 2,500 40-minute therapies. From a patient standpoint, patients simply love having this therapy at home. They've returned to active lives, and they don't want to stop the therapy even after healed, as they feel better in general. Talking with them is a real turn-on. Physician reimbursement will have a prolonged tail for medical data review 3 times a week, which no other therapy offers. And insurers will save billions from reduced costs for advanced care and reduced amputations, which cost $60,000 each. We already have thought leader support from numerous people, but Dr. David Armstrong is our leading supporter. We've also already started our publications program. As you would expect, the market is huge. And in fact, in the US, only 1% penetration would yield us $45 million in annual revenue. From a revenue model standpoint, we'll sell to the podiatrists and the wound care community using our key opinion leader support and working through professional societies and showing our strong clinical results that have been achieved across 20+ testing sites. We'll utilize a wholly owned direct sales force to tell our story clearly without distraction, and we'll sell for a reimbursed price of $3,000 with a per-use fee of $50 in professional officers. With a $160 manufacturing cost, this yields a reasonably decent margin. From an exit standpoint, large device companies do what pharma does. They let the little guys take the risk, and then they buy at a premium when commercial potential has been shown. We project a 5 times revenue sale price in 2024, which would yield $120 to $160 million.
You need to wrap it up here because you're over time.
Right. So the founding principals have invested almost $1.7 million to date. We're doing as a Series A for $7 million at a valuation of $10 million. Booster proceeds will be 60% for further clinical tests, 20% device design, 20% for G&A. This includes a study with the Veterans Administration on pressure ulcers, an even bigger problem. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tom. All right, judges, let's go, Ben, why don't you kick off questions for Tom?
Sure, good job, Tom. I can tell you were well prepared there. So with the clinical trials, when are you forecasting those wrap up?
There'll be 12-month trials, and this is based on the experience with this CRO, which has done these trials in 12 months. We expect to get them started in the 4th quarter, so we'd be finished in late 2021. We're actually going to slice the trial partway through to submit to FDA because the trial is bigger at 105 patients than what FDA requires. So our goal is to get FDA approval not long after the trial is complete, and therefore we should be able to enter the market by mid-2022.
Okay.
Perfect. Oren?
Thanks, Tom. That was a great presentation. I had a couple of questions. The first one was, when you talk about 74% healing, does that mean wounds healed 74%, or does that mean 74% of the people who use this had healed wounds?
74% of the people who use this therapy had completely healed wounds that stayed healed for a prolonged period of time after that was achieved. In most cases, they've stayed healed ever since.
Okay, I think that's great. I just wanted to clarify that, and I think that you should have that clear in the presentation because that wasn't clear.
Right.
So your device is an occlusive device?
Yes.
At what pressures, how high does the pressure have to go to be an effective occlusive device for a limb?
The device measures each patient's systolic blood pressure and inflates to 25 millimeters of mercury above that pressure to achieve occlusion. And then it rechecks that pressure.
Right. And how long does it leave the occlusion up for?
5 minutes on, 5 minutes off. It repeats it 3 more times.
Have you know, diabetics, of course, have more fragile nerves. Have you found any problems with nerve damage from the use of your device?
No problems. Literally every patient has stayed in the study. There have been no adverse events. In respect to neuropathy, the interesting thing is several patients have reported a reduction or elimination of neuropathy for them, but that's not something we're going to claim.
And
but it is interesting.
Last question for you. When you talk about pressure ulcers, I assume you're talking more about sacral decubiti, not pressure from walking, which is what the diabetic foot ulcers are. How would an occlusive cuff work on, you know, the hindquarters of a patient?
Well, it's all done through the arm because the effects of the therapy go across the entire body. It's not a localized effect.
Okay. So the cuff is always on the arm, irrespective of wherever the injury is.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you.
That was,
Thank you.
yeah, I wasn't clear on that either. So that's very helpful to understand that. Balint.
I really love your company, strong professionals with strong background and a really useful, unique solution. So I feel that that it's a really strong product. And I have a question regarding the user experience. So what was your latest corrective feedbacks from the patients or doctors according to the user experience of your solution?
The reaction has been very positive. No patient has wanted to drop out of the study. What they report is the first time it's a little scary and different, but by even the second round of occlusion, they're feeling more comfortable with it. And most do not want to give up the therapy even after they're healed because they feel they get improvement in general well-being, a reduction in neuropathy, and in a couple cases, elimination of erectile dysfunction. That'll be our year 3 campaign.
Thanks. And it's more designed for local use, or you design as a telemedicine service?
I apologize, Balint. I didn't quite understand that question.
Yeah. So what's your vision for your product? Will it be used locally, or will it be used connected to telemedicine services?
Yes, the device is equipped with a cell-based communications device. So doctors will actually be informed every time the device is used, and there's a prearranged schedule with the patient. So compliance can be monitored, and we will probably add a service to ensure compliance. Secondly, the doctor will get heart rate, blood pressure information, and eventually blood oxygen levels. And they'll be reimbursed every time they review that data.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Tom. Judges, does anybody have any feedback that they want to share?
Just one piece of feedback. I would have liked to hear more about your intellectual property.
Okay.
Sure. We have 9 issued patents in the US, 11 filed or granted internationally. It's pretty complete patent protection.
Great. Okay, thanks very much. So judges, let's get ready to share your scores for the LifeCuff Technologies presentation. 1, 2, 3, scoring fingers up. So 4, 5, and 3. All right. So I guess since I think Savannah, that means we have a tie for first. All right, so the scores right now are Cleexa and LifeCuff. Right, we have a tie. Okay. So we will, we're going to actually, I think, go ahead and award 2 companies to have
Yay!
designation for September, which I think is a great way to start things off with our monthly awards program. I, first of all, want to thank all of the startups for your pitches and your time. And you guys were really prepared. These were much more all around. Nobody had any major gaps or anything. So I really applaud you. Believe me, that's unusual. And so you should feel really good about that. And again, the prize for the winning startups now are a coaching session with me. And one thing I'll share with you guys is you may not, if you haven't checked out a little bit about my background, is I actually have a pretty big background in medical devices. I co-founded the Stanford Biodesign program and things like that. So I love to geek out on healthcare. And so I look forward to getting a chance to speak with you all. And then you also have product discovery and planning sessions with Bene Studio. And you're also going to get some social media love being highlighted as telehealth startups of the month. And then there's also going to be an interview, an interview published on our Telehealth Networking Club page. And I have to tell you, the Bene Studio folks rock it in terms of the social media. So you will really see some good love for your companies. So our results are in, and we can celebrate all of these great startups with Cleexa and LifeCuff Technologies being the September winners. So congratulations. And yeah, big round of applause. Let's celebrate that. It's a lot of work, a lot of good stuff going on. And it's just so exciting to see all of these companies doing things to improve patient health. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And so I really loved each of your companies. So let's see. Next up, we are going to transition to go ahead and thank you for attending this, and a big congratulations to our winners. And if you are joining the session today live, our next session starts in about a half hour at 9:30, the next session in the Rapid Conference. And you can see the live stream by YouTube or Facebook. And so as you may recall from the intro, this Rapid Conference is hosted by the Telehealth Networking Club. And this is the Networking Club is a newer thing that Bene Studio has started, and it's invitation only. And the goal is really to have a relevant networking club, so to connect startups, telehealth startups, investors, healthcare providers, and other key players in the telehealth industry with private networking opportunities. And so there's lots of good information about the club on the Bene Studio website, so please check that out. We're going to transition now to the private networking session for the Telehealth Networking Club. So I hope we will all see you in that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, judges, so much. That was terrific. Okay.
Thank you.